we're struggling for something. Well, once you get that thing, then are you still struggling? No. So really the point of where we want to be and reach as people, as individuals and as a collective is that we're not struggling. If you're not struggling, that means you're living good. You know what I mean? So I don't like when a man says, boy, the struggle will never die. What do you mean the struggle will never die? That's then what am I working toward? I'm working toward killing the struggle. Not killing people's ambition for better themselves, but killing the thought that you have to be a struggler instead of a conqueror. Or, you understand?
Hello everybody, you're welcome back to another round on the Reggae Appreciation Society. When we mention the term reggae royalty, the picture that immediately comes to mind is that of the Marley kids. Bob Marley had 7 sons, but 2 of them are not musicians. So when we talk about the Marley boys, we are referring to Ziggy the Crown Prince, Stephen, Julian, Kimani, and Damian, aka Junior Gong, the youngest of Bob's sons. Being the son of the Tough Gong automatically implies being put on the assembly line of the Tough Gong Records factory and crafted into a product ready for Island Records, the label that made Bob Marley a global megastar. Just like his 4 elder brothers, Damian also inherited Bob's astonishing talent, but where the Marley boys seamlessly delved into the family's roots reggae platform, Junior Gong chose to hustle hard to carve his own niche as a new Marley for the 21st century, with his heavily dancehall and hip-hop oriented style of reggae music. The Marley kids are generally known for being down to earth and accessible, but Damian's street credibility is on another level. In his almost 3 decades in the music business, he's become one of the most successful Marleys with super successful albums, 3 Grammy Awards, and a huge followership of young people even outside the reggae fan base. Let's take a look at the unique Junior Gong. Damian Junior Gong Marley was born in Kingston on July 21st, 1978, a child born out of the long-term relationship between Bob Marley and the 1976 Miss World, Cindy Breakspear. Bob and Cindy met in 1975, while they were both living in the same building in the now popular 56 Hope Road in Kingston. The property is now known more as Bob Marley's house, but back then, before Bob bought it, the property belonged to Island Records boss Chris Blackwell, who rented out apartments within the building to various tenants, including Cindy Breakspear and her brother. Sadly, Bob died when Damian was just 2 years old, but thanks to the decision by Rita Marley, Cindy Breakspear, and the other mothers of Bob's kids, Damian grew up close to his siblings. He started showing signs of the Marley musical DNA when, as a young child, he would play his father's records every day and perform the songs, imagining he was in front of an audience. He graduated to performing in the house of his auntie, Donna Core. Donna Core was the wife of one of the founding members of legendary reggae group Third World. It was an initiative and idea that led to the formation of a group called the Shepherds, comprised of a 13-year-old Damian, her son Shaya Core, and Yashima McGregor, the daughter of reggae legend Freddie McGregor. The year was 1991, and the hottest sound in Jamaica wasn't roots reggae. By then, dancehall was the reigning sound on the island, and like most kids his age, he was a huge fan of artists like Shabba Ranks, Ninja Man, and Supercat. Those were the sort of records that Damian was buying as a teenager and formed his musical foundation. The Shepherds were given the privilege to perform at the 1992 Reggae Sunsplash Festival as an opening act. Soon after, Damian went solo and got to go on tour with one of his idols, Shabba Ranks, during the Reggae Sunsplash and Sunfest festivals. The nickname Tough Gong had been Bob's nickname in the hood where he grew up, but Damian Marley got the nickname Junior Gong at an event taking place at 56 Hope Road, when a bouncer, seeing him coming through the gates, started shouting for the crowd to clear the way for Junior Gong. He immediately adopted that as his stage name. He continued to sharpen his skills, performing in shows alongside his big brothers Ziggy and Julian, and recorded a few singles in those days. Due to his successful outing in live performances, in 1996 he was deemed good enough and ready to be signed to Ghetto Youth International, a subsidiary of Tough Gong Records dedicated to young artists. His new label released his debut solo album, Mr. Marley, and its contents came as a surprise to people who've heard it. The album was produced by his brother Stephen Marley and featured Damian's unique style that straggled reggae, dancehall, and hip-hop. While it was well received as a commercial and critical success, it was not expected that a Marley boy would stay outside of the traditional family sound. The Mr. Marley album not only sold well in Jamaica, but did well internationally. And by early 1997, The album had 3 songs on the charts at the same time. In Me Name Junior Gong, One Cup of Coffee, which incidentally was the first song Bob Marley ever recorded, and Now You Know. His successful debut album earned Damian an appearance at the Lollapalooza Rock Festival in America that year. If Mr. Marley was an encouraging success, it was just the beginning. Junior Gong released his second album, Halfway Tree, on a record deal that was a partnership between Ghetto Youth International and Motown Records. The album was also produced by Stephen Marley. Where Mr. Marley was primarily a dancehall-based album, Halfway Tree infused a strong hip-hop element that made it clear that he had embraced his own style and sound. Halfway Tree earned him a Grammy Award for Best Reggae Album in 2002 and remained on the Billboard Reggae charts for 158 weeks. Despite all the success he was experiencing, in typical Marley fashion, he remained the same humble boy, giving credit for his success to Stephen as the captain of the ship, and called the Grammy a plus for the advancement of reggae music. He immediately went back to work on more music in the Tough Gong studios and began to lay the groundwork for his next album, the masterpiece that became known as Welcome to Jamrock, which was released in 2005. One interesting feature of Damian's music career is that he doesn't release albums that often, most likely a privilege of being a stakeholder in his own record label. Halfway Tree was released 5 years after his debut album, and Welcome to Jamrock was released 4 years after Halfway Tree. The album was a monster hit that featured a wide range of guest artists from Bobby Brown to Bunny Wailer. The album's biggest single, also titled Welcome to Jamrock, was listed as one of the top 100 songs of the decade by Rolling Stone magazine. Among the many successes of the album, it bagged 2 Grammy Awards for Best Reggae Album and Best Urban Alternative Performance, making Junior Gong the only reggae artist to win in that category. It sold an incredible 86,000 copies in its first week and made Damian an international megastar. What is really interesting and intriguing about the song Welcome to Jamrock is that it provided an in-depth look at the poverty and political violence ravaging Jamaica, not the point of view we'd expect from the privileged son of a megastar father and a beauty queen mother. Welcome to Jamrock gave him unprecedented recognition in the US and the world generally, and laid the pathway to Damian's critically acclaimed collaboration with American rapper Nas in 2010. The joint album Distant Relatives was a musical exploration of the relationship between reggae, hip-hop, and Africa. The album was a huge success that debuted at number 5 on the Billboard Top 200 Albums charts, number 1 on the R&B hip-hop albums and reggae albums charts. The next few years after Distant Relatives, he kept up with a busy schedule, appearing as guest artists on albums by the likes of Snoop Dogg, Bruno Mars, Sean Paul, Shaggy, and so many more. In line with his tradition of an album every few years, he released his 4th album, Stony Hill, which was also a big success. Damian continues to tour and perform all over the world, spreading the message of Rastafari and also working hard with his brothers Stephen and Julian on their label Ghetto Youth International to discover, develop and sign young gifted artists. The story of Junior Gong is just refreshing. Rather than rest on the achievement of his family, he has been able to not only carve out a niche for himself, but to advance the cause for which his father was committed to, and at the same time, win over new generations of fans. So there you have it. Thank you for watching the video today. Please leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, God bless.